Hello, friends. Wayne Lambright here. The 26th of December, 2022. I've titled this video, I Might Have Made the Discovery for Unlimited Electricity. This is going to be a theoretical discussion. I haven't built anything, but, and we'll be talking about some news, global politics at the end of this, probably about an hour long. I'm noticing a lot of fog on my glass, and I think I've damaged my laptop. I even tried some plastic polish, and basically where the lens is at, there's just like a lot of little scratches now. I tried this plastic polish. Darn it. The solution is to do live broadcasts on my smartphone. However, I can't really interact with chat on that, so we're going to have to deal with this fuzzy image. Sorry if that bothers you. Fuzzy images really bother me. I'm like, just clean your glass. Why are you doing this to us? Fuck. Like, I might have to there's a camera behind the laptop glass. I might have to cut out, it's not glass, it's plastic. So I might have to just cut out that plastic so I can have direct access to the lens itself. But then, that'll get dirty. Let's jump into it. So this is a Tesla coil, and to make anti-gravity fly, you need high voltage. I've seen anti-gravity fly, and this was the power source on the ground, and this exit, the end of the coil, was being brought up to the little homemade UFO. It was a toy-sized UFO, about a foot by 1 foot across. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, when I set out to reverse engineer how anti-gravity worked, I had two rumors: counter-rotating magnetic fields and mercury. And I still hadn't figured out what mercury, how it played into this. And but I'm so I did a video recently, you can look, and we talk about if you have a metal football, like the ones you throw and it spins in the air. If this was metal and it spun in the air, it would make electricity. And that wasn't known until like the late 90s. So I think if you make mercury spin, that mercury, because mercury is a metal, so I think if the mercury is spinning, that would make electricity. But mercury is a liquid, so it might be hard to spin it. So I've had some clues to this idea, and I'll be saying lots of different technical things, and there's sometimes I feel like I've invented something myself, and then there's clues I got from other people. So one clue is there's a picture of like a UFO, a side, the disc is this way and the compartment's here, and they show a Tesla coil right in the middle. And they're suggesting that the Tesla coil is somehow how it flies. And well, that there is some truth to this, because a few things are happening. When the coil is being energized, the electricity, there's another coil on here, the primary, and this big one's the secondary. So this energizes, and then the magnetic field from here is transferred to there through electrical induction. And then the thumb is pointing up, so my fingers tell you which way the field is spinning. So in this case, it's going to be spinning this way. So as the electricity comes up, inside here is a rotating magnetic field. And this is my aha. Maybe if you put the mercury in here, that this, as it spins, would spin the mercury and make the electricity. So, and I didn't have this idea. Putting mercury in here is not my own. The alien reproduction vehicles, they said that there's a vortex of mercury in the middle. And thought to myself, but that doesn't make sense. Like, what benefit do you get out of it? And the answer is free electrical production. That's the answer. So the mercury is a power source because it's spinning in a circle, and as it spins, um, we're in outer space, and Earth is a magnetic field. There's this mysterious, they used to call it the ether. Nobody really knows what to call it, but just assume that there's electricity everywhere. And if you spin something, you'll get electricity out, or like the piezoelectric effect, which is a rock that you squeeze and electricity comes out. So I think you have your Tesla coil in your flying craft, and it's going bzzz, and so the positive comes out the craft and comes down to the earth, and it needs to be spinning to make a pole. Like, this is a Q-tip, but like, see how it fell? It falls because it's not spinning. But if I had it spinning, it would spin like a child's toy, a top, and the centrifugal force would keep it vertical. So that's where the counter rotating magnetic fields come into play partially. It's the rotating part that is the spin stabilized, and the counterpart is the twisting. When you twist, you can break anything apart. So it's the twisting that enables the electrical field to separate from the earth, and that isolates the magnetic field. That way it doesn't bleed into the earth, and it's its own field by itself because it's spinning. But I think the big aha that I wanted to share in today's video is, I imagine, let me get a little plate here. So this is the craft, and this sits here in the craft like this. Well, it's in the middle. And then the alien reproduction vehicle has a big a circular, a toroidal coil around the center. I wasn't really sure if the reproduction vehicle says there's a Tesla coil in the middle, but I've seen photos that say there is. So that's kind of like, so my aha this morning was, I bet the mercury goes inside here, because when this spins, when this energizes and produces high voltage, it has that rotating magnetic field always in the same direction. And so that mercury is going to have inertia, and it's going to get spinning faster and faster and faster. And these will pulse at, could be 1,000,000 times per second. So that would be, you would get a huge amount of rotational spin on the mercury in a vertical vortex. And there's been also eyewitness accounts of mercury at a UFO crash site, and and also a UFO abductee says they were in the craft and witnessed a vortex of mercury, like in a glass chamber. So that's the other thing, is like the chamber the mercury's in, if it's iron or conductive metal, it'd be like, maybe like a Faraday's cage, and it might not be so productive to extracting the energy out of the mercury. So maybe it has to be in a glass or dielectric. It could be a plastic vessel. This really excites me. I'm super jazzed up about this. One reason is I don't have to build a human-sized craft to make it fly. We can make toy airplane size. Electricity scales up. So that's the beauty of electronics, is once I get it flying on a small level, we can make some calculations to say, well, just make that bigger, because it flew like 2 pounds of weight, and maybe I do tests on it and trying to push it down. So more electricity, more flying is what I'm getting out of it. I have all the parts to start working on it here, and I've made lots of excuses. Like, there's just been a lot of setbacks this year. I think things are going pretty well now. I've taken a it's like I've almost taken a whole month off, kinda relaxed. Um, it's nice. I've been drinking a little bit of beer, like, 4 times a month, and it's nice to get loaded. Uh, I was watching some show about prohibition, and it was about how America was starting a revolution because they wanted to get shit-faced. Americans love getting shit-faced, and when they did prohibition, Americans revolted. There was nearly a revolution, and there was a revolution, so they repealed the Prohibition Act. And, for me, getting drunk is, I was just drinking, beer, uh, a 5.9 Budweiser, natural ice beer, something like that. It's pretty cheap, 30 cans for 15 bucks. Um, it's enough to get a buzz and just get that relaxation feeling, and I think one benefit that I get out I might be able to get this from meditation, but beer, fast tracks the meditation. It allows me to quiet my mind and really, like, I go to sleep and I'm like, as I'm trying to sleep, I'm, like, thinking about gravity control. I'm thinking about the components, so I'm trying to precede my closing thoughts of the night with gravity control, hoping, um, God or the universe will send me more information. They'll be like, "Oh, Wayne's asleep right now. Well, what's he wanna dream about tonight?" And the gods will be like, "Well, the last thing he was thinking about was gravity control, so let's give him some gravity control." I would do it like, maybe I want a red Ferrari, so then I'll think about a red Ferrari, and the chances of me having a dream about a red Ferrari, 50-50. Like, it happens like this for me. Um, yeah, so I woke up this morning and I was still thinking about the, um, alien reproduction vehicle. After I did that video last week about the Utron and patent number 2,912,244 by Otis Carr. It's the, amusement device. Oh, by the way, good morning, EEK and Yellow Yellow. 2,000,000. Um, I put the patent number in the chat. So I went researching as much. I was just searching everything I could about OTC and Otis T. Carr and Utron. I was gathering a lot of stuff, and there's the battery. So when you're making all this electricity, you need to put it into a battery, and the battery in these in the machine in the UFO is a plate capacitor. It just looks like dinner plates stacked on top of each other. So it would be dinner plate, insulate, and it's not made of ceramic. It's iron. So it's an iron. It's a circular iron plate with a separator, and they're probably copper is my guess. Um, I need to learn more about plate capacitors, and I've said this before. I watched this gold mining show, and the guy who does this show is a real character, but he talks about this gold mine when they would lower the guys down, the electric motor would generate electricity, and they held it in these capacitor banks, and they were huge, like filing cabinet size. And he says they got super hot. So I find that really interesting, and I want to learn more about making a plate capacitor. Yeah. I want to show you a motor. Oh, this baby's heavy. This is probably 50 pounds. This here is a General Electric motor. It's a DC motor. I think this is 3/8 shaft. And the magnets, the stator and the armature are electric magnets. And I had an idea the other day. Um, I got to weigh that. That's got to be 50 pounds. Um, so I've been wanting to make a power source for night. And I think I could use that for making a windmill. And what I would do is I would use my batteries to make the magnetic field appear. And then when it's spinning, that magnetic field would generate electricity. And I might even be able to build a circuit where it starts off because there's no electricity anywhere. So you use battery electricity, but once it's going, you turn off the battery and you have some capacitors that uh, power the magnetic field all from the rotation of it. I don't think I'll build this anytime soon, but it's nice to have the idea. And I want to build a vertical rotating axis. They got some that are they're twisty. They're like a screw. You've seen them before. They're vertical axis, and those are better than windmills because there's no over speed limit. A windmill can kind of tear itself apart if the winds are too high, and those vertical axis don't have a speed limit, so they're great in high winds. I could also build a big funnel in the air and put the turbine at the opening of the funnel. So the air goes into the funnel and it's concentrated, so it's blowing harder. Like maybe it's a 5-mile-an-hour wind, but I build a big funnel. It'd be like 8 foot tall, like 3 meters wide, and then the outlet is 1 meter. And just build it out of it's a circle. So it looks like a cone-shaped basket, and then put the windmill at the bottom. Then the whole thing rotates. It's on wheels, so whatever way the wind is blowing, it would be into the wind. Good morning, Eek. Where are you? Your shed? Yes, I'm in my shed. Sometimes we've joked that this is not really a shed, it's a studio. And this is all, my whole life is a big fabrication. Why would anybody fabricate poverty? I'm drinking some coffee. I got some books. You'll just have to take my word for it. I got Mark's Mechanical Engineering Handbook. It's like 1,000 pages. I got Algorithms, Data Structures Equal Programs. And the other one I got is Wave Phenomena. Oh, I have an idea. Yeah. Okay, I got another aha idea. I think many of us have heard that the Pyramid of Egypt in Gaza is perfectly aligned north. It's not even 1 degree off. It's like 0.003 degrees of accuracy. And that is super high precision. And engineers like to be precise, but sometimes there's no need for it. And so I'm going to make the assumption there's a need for it. And then a lot of people have talked about the Earth has these magnetic flux lines. Let me get a pencil and just draw something. So this is the Earth, and then there's these magnetic fields coming out, and then there's some here too. There's like, I think there's 16 of them. There's not many. It could be 16 or 32 of these lines. So let's say the pyramid is on top of the line, like the line goes directly over it, or to the left or the right. I don't know. All right, and then So this represents something called a sine wave in electronics. Um, the wave frequency, like let's say it's a 1,000 hertz sine wave. Well, there's a way to calculate how long that is. And what I mean by length is as it's traveling through the air, it can be really small or it can actually be really big. The lower the frequency, the longer the wave. And when I calculated my floating electricity wave, uh, it was really big. I might have been like, I want to say 1,400 feet long, or it could have been 5 miles long. I can't remember right now. It was much longer than I expected. I'm like, wow, because I just thought, yeah, I needed 300 miles. Yeah, it was 1,400 miles long and roughly well, hold on, 1,200 miles long. So this would be a half wavelength because it's only half of the wave, and this distance here is a quarter wavelength right there. So, and you can keep chopping this in half, an eighth of a wavelength, a 32nd of a wavelength. It's always division, okay? So here's what I think about the pyramid. The other thing about the pyramid is the like height of the pyramid is precisely a ratio of the size of the earth. I heard this like 5-10 years ago, and I was like, what? And then the base of the pyramid, let's draw a circle here. Okay, so that's the bottom of the pyramid.
Alert from low battery.
Oh, put the power on here. Like this distance here, if you turn somehow one of these distance, either this distance or like this distance is the speed of light precisely. Like what? Now they're fucking with us. Like that's how you know the pyramids were intelligently designed, not by people from Earth, not cave dwellers. The UFO people were like, we're going to embed some information here. However, I think that since the height of the pyramid is precisely a percentage of the earth, I think it's a fraction of a wave of a wave. This is really important. It could be a quarter. It could be, well, it's not, it's going to be smaller than a quarter, but it's going to be a fraction of the earth's harmonic frequency. So the earth does have a heartbeat, and it's like 6.7. It's under 7 cycles per second. So 1,001. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so it's a motion like this. Okay. So the pyramid, I believe the motion's coming up like this. And I think it's a harmonic resonant coupler. It couples, it needs to be so heavy to get the most out of that vibration. And also the size of the pyramid needs to be an umbrella over the earth to capture a portion of that wave guide. This is really new to, I just thought of this 2 days ago. So it's very half-baked. I mean, I've had the idea before that the pyramid is a harmonic coupler, but I didn't really, the new idea is that the height is actually in mathematics, we could calculate what wavelength that is. And so like on my to-do list is find out what the true wave Earth cycles per second is, and then calculate that how does the height fit into an antenna to capture that frequency. So when you look at a home in the old days, I'm going to draw a TV antenna. TV antennas used to look like this. And the reason for this is these would be different frequencies. Like when you turn the channel, click, 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 click on the old ones, like channel 2 would be 100 hertz, channel 3 would be 200 hertz, 400 hertz, 500 hertz, 600 hertz, 700 hertz. So each antenna was capturing that frequency out of the air. That's why it's shaped this way. I'll draw another antenna that's just kind of cute. This is another antenna. That's called a Yagi. And this only picks up one frequency and it's directional. I really loved this riddle of what the pyramid was doing with its electricity. Like I'm 100% that the pyramid is a total electrical power station. And there's already written hieroglyphic proof of fluorescent light bulbs, which are a plasma, and you need high voltage to fire off a plasma, a neon light, a fluorescent light bulb. So they had fluorescent lights in the pyramids. They're like, okay, Stan, bring over the light. We're going to start working on this wall right now. Okay, well, give me an hour. It's going to take me some time to move it. And they moved the light over probably, you know, like they're just construction workers. I still don't know what they're using for electrical wire because they've never found a spool of wire in one of the tombs. There's also the rumor that the lead engineer of the pyramids is an extraterrestrial praying mantis, a bug, 8 foot tall. What? You know, like fucking A. Like, I love this story. Like, we should turn this into a science fiction movie. It's just like, what? And I'm 100% certain the rocks are levitated. That's the only explanation, that they had the ability to levitate rocks, and I'm pretty sure I know how they do it. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Let me just do a diagram. So this is the Earth, and the Earth is negative. And what you need to do is turn this rock into negative. Then these, since that will be negative energy and this is negative energy, they'll repel each other. But how do you turn a rock into an electrical conductor? And I think the answer is pouring salt water on it. You get the whole thing wet, and then you zap it with negative high voltage. And then it should lift off the Earth. But it's going to start spinning. It's going to spin in one direction. So then you need to stabilize it and just guide it to where it needs to go. So it would have like, it would float like an airship. This is a really easy experiment for me to do here at home. And the problem I was having was, how do I get a lot of negative high voltage? I figured it out. I just need to build a bridge rectifier and use alternating current. And alternating current is it's the wave. It's the wave like this. So that would be positive, and that's negative. So basically, I force these positive electrons to be negative through a bridge rectifier. Also, I could build a, what's it called? A Van de Graaff generator. And that looks like just a belt a rubber belt with two toothbrushes on the edges scraping off electrons. And they have in the past, they built a big one. It made 5 million volts. And the only reason I know about a Van de Graaff generator is Boyd Bushman, who worked at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. He said that's how they create the high voltage in the B-2 stealth bomber, and it's anti-gravitic. It's 70% anti-gravitic. So it flies through the air with a hybrid gravitational boost. And he said that this makes the plane 70% more fuel efficient, which is totally amazing. Like if your car got 100 miles to the gallon, give it 70% more, better gas mileage, that means it would get 170 miles to the gallon with that thing flipped on. And they use a Van de Graaff generator. They throw the negative electrons in the exhaust and they charge the leading edge of the wing with positive. Like I'm absolutely obsessed with this, and it's overtaking my political ambitions. We'll see how that goes. I'm more interested in finding, like I feel in my heart that America would not allow me to build this. Like they'll say, well, it's against national security. So how do I build it? Like where could I go? Where is there a nation that would allow me to build it? Like I thought, well, what about Japan? Well, Japan would be like, look at, we're bros with America. We're not going to let you build it, Wayne. And I think Saudi Arabia might be one of the best options. Maybe China. I've got to convince somebody from one of those nations to invite me over to be a research, to build a small research lab to build this thing. I really believe it's only a short period of time and we could get this working. And I said, like, I've said this before, like, I don't need, it's not the money for me. It's that I want this technology to exist. And I don't mind if the oil companies own this technology. Like if they're making $1 trillion off oil and my technology makes oil obsolete, well, I'll let them make $1 trillion off my technology. So we're just switching their money to a new technology. Therefore, they're not going to want to make me disappear. I'm helping them. I mean, they got the resources anyways. Maybe they truly just don't know. Like really, like I believe some of them might. I'm convinced that we've known about this anti-gravity stuff since the mid-50s. And that we have solar warden, but I just don't know why it's being withheld. And my only answer is that the world is a petroleum empire. Petroleum runs the world. All the engineers are on combustion technology. Everybody has their place in society because of oil. It's a total management tool. If you don't have enough oil, your industry drops. You know, oil is the lubricant of the world, as a nice pun. And we can I don't believe in global warming, so I don't feel we have to go away from oil. However, oil might not be infinite, and so we might need to do a transition to electricity. So I think that I just want to find somebody who wants to breathe life into these ideas. Like I believe we can build a box, a plate capacitor box that has anti-gravity properties, and I could take the weight of a car at 4,000 pounds, drop it down to 3,500 pounds. I can make it 0 pounds, but the tires still have to grip. And when you go around a turn, if there's not enough weight, it might fall off. I don't know. So that would be a way to transition into anti-gravity because we still need cars and stuff like that. So there's things on my mind. I'm mad that I'm off Twitter because like Twitter's a great communication tool to talk to people on the other side of the world. I mean, how am I going to talk to OSB? Well, the big tall Arab guy, he's like 6'6". Osama bin something, and he's in charge of the Saudi Arabian uh, kingdom. Well, they have an investment arm, so I can contact the investment arm. The name's slipping me right now, but they have a huge venture capital investment arm. Um, there's also India. India might welcome this technology. The main thing is like I can't have like a conventional conversation and say, here's a technology and this is the marketplace it changes. Um, we really need to describe it in a different way, which is the world's a power structure. You probably have guessed that this technology has existed for years, and you also are wondering why it's not out there. And it's because it makes oil obsolete. So we need to sell this as a way for the oil companies to transition their income to this technology. Otherwise, they might just, want to get rid of a guy who's bringing out a technology that makes oil obsolete. So the people who fund me, we also need to leave a door open to the other oil barons of the world that they're not going to be left out. I think that's kind of like, it's like a deal you're making with the mafia kind of thing. They're the oil mafia. They literally are like an oil mafia, though they're a cartel. A cartel is a group of people who agree to work together. So I think all the oil people are doing that. Justin says, how much funding would you need? That's always a trick question. Let's say let's not include the money to keep me alive, to give me a bed to sleep in and food to eat. Let's not include the money for a room with an oscilloscope and some electrical components and wires and the ability to fabricate things out of steel and things like that. Let's not cover those costs. Let's talk about the legal. Legal is the most expensive part of gravity control. Like literally protecting this technology. The investor is going to want to protect the technology with some legal framework, intellectual property, and patents. And so we might strategically find that this might actually be a total intellectual proposition before we even build it, to say that if Wayne is right, can we legally bring it to market? And like, let's say it's Saudi Arabia, and they're like, but we can't because we've got a reciprocal agreement with America and we don't want to break that. And so America would sue us and say, well, we've already got patents on it, so then it's a no-go. And then maybe Saudi's like, but I got an idea, Wayne. Our friends in Argentina or our friends here don't have that agreement with America, and we'll develop the technology there, and we'll also provide the financial assistance to make America back off, because America's going to be like, fuck you guys, you stole our technology, that's not fair what you're doing. Like they might throw a hissy fit. So it's really a long war. A patent is a castle. However, your castle is defenseless without an army. So we can get the patent, most likely, but without money to fund an army to protect our castle, we lose it. By doing this, we could also accidentally force the American companies that have this technology to release it. So then our efforts would be lost on some levels. We would be able to produce machines and sell them in the territories that aren't under the control of the American system or the international patent agreements. So the biggest problem is actually selling it. It's like selling a Ferrari. You don't need to sell a Ferrari. Everybody wants one. It's actually bringing it to market and not having like a national defense, the Secrecies Act. It would erode the national defense of America. Those kinds of arguments. I might find a host nation who's like, fuck those people, Wayne, let's do it. So let's say there's unlimited money for legal, and I just need the money for the laboratory and the gear in an apartment. Like I live in a shed, right? So I'll fucking live in a shed someplace else. So, I mean, I just need a room to live in, a place to have food and shower and all those things. I work 24 hours a day or 7 days a week kind of thing. So I would just need some type of air-conditioned office or industrial center where I can do welding and some machining. Some of these parts that I want to build I would have them in AutoCAD, and I could outsource them. Like I want to build some. I'll do a drawing. So this is a metal, and this is electrical coil. So this is an electromagnet, and then there's about 10 layers of thin steel all together to make this. And the reason why this here is the Utron, and it spins. It's spinning this way. These are the axis of it, and it's metal and it spins. So it's a circle on one direction, but on this direction it's a square. And the center is going one direction, and this coil is going the other direction. So this is part of the counter rotating magnet. So, like, I want to build this. I could put it in the CAD, computer aided design, drafting in the computer. I could just build it in the computer, then outsource having it built and then shipped to the location. And then I wind the coils and assemble it. Enough money for a year, an oscilloscope, maybe 30,000. It's literally peanuts. Because what we're building is just the proof of concept. So it's not, the capital investment for this is minuscule in comparison to what this technology unlocks. So that's the answer. Just the raw materials and an apartment to keep me alive, and food and stuff for the laboratory. A year's worth would be like $30,000. Yeah. And then, I need money for the legal. So legal, the sky's the limit on that shit. That could be a lot of millions. It's such revolutionary technology. I mean, gravity control changes the world forever. So it's got me pretty excited. I'll tell you what I'm thinking right now. Like, there's a dead washing machine. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of copper. There's a lot of magnetic wire in the motor of that dead washing machine. It's been sitting outside for 20 years. It's actually a dishwasher. I'm like, I probably should take that apart and uncoil that wire. I could use it. So, like, I'm basically harvesting materials to build. I got a spool of magnetic wire I bought. Anyways, I'm really obsessed with this idea. So I'm happy about that, because when you're obsessed with something, motivation pops out of nowhere. Like, you're just obsessed. You just want to keep working on it. And that's totally fun to me. It is. It's totally fun. All right, let me read some comments here. Good morning, Yellow, and EK, and Greek. Did you see what I said about Gollum? Nope, I didn't see that. Wayne, how about gallium? Gallium. Oh, gallium metal that's a liquid just above room temperature. Yeah. I'll tell you what I know about gallium, and it's really interesting. Uh, I saw a padlock, and I think some of the metal in the padlock was aluminum, and they put gallium on the aluminum, and it made it turn to cookie crumbs. Like gallium melted atomically the other metal without heat. I never saw that before. Uh, it might have been on the lock picking lawyer. Well, could gallium work in place of the mercury? Um, well, if it's conductive and it's metal, yes is the answer. The answer is yes. Now, here's the thing: metal that's liquid just above room temperature. Now, outer space is very cold, so gallium might turn to a solid. You might have to have a heater. I mean, a heater is not hard. Um, I want to take what the rumors are and stick with those, like mercury. Um, there's rumor of crashed UFOs, and there was lots of metal mercury on the ground. Yeah. Um, there's another UFO story where it wasn't a crashed UFO, but this policeman in the middle of nowhere at night saw some flashing lights on the road. He thought it was a truck or something, and it turns out to be a UFO. And then they invite the policeman into the UFO to show him the power station. And I think he said there was tubes of mercury, and that the UFO went to a substation where electricity is coming in, where the transformers are, and stole a bunch of electricity from it to recharge some of its batteries. I thought that was really interesting, and it had like 3 levels inside it, and then they let the policeman go, and he went back to work and told everybody, and, um, a lot of people were upset with him. They're like, "You lost your mind? Shut up about that UFO thing. You're making everybody nervous." Like, he had to bury it. I think he kinda got run out of town. Um, it's a pretty well documented story. I'm gonna blow my nose here. Uh, yeah, the Utron. So, like, that square thing is actually the power source, and it spins. It's so exciting. It's like Nikola Tesla made this patent. So I've seen some people trying to build things similar to it, but I haven't seen anybody build it precisely. Okay, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about the water-powered car. And there's the story of they killed the guy who built the water-powered car. He was having a lunch with investors, foreign investors, and they gave him a raspberry or a cranberry drink, and he's like, "They poisoned me," and he was dead within 10 minutes. Okay. So this represents a combustion chamber. That's the piston. This is the spark plug. And this here is where the water is turned into hydrogen and oxygen and then brought into the chamber. And there's a just for illustrative purposes, this would be filled with water. This is positive and that's negative. These do not touch, and they don't touch the walls. And when there's water in here, it would be turned, you separate it through electrolysis into the atomic components of hydrogen and oxygen. Then, since this is full of water, as the gases happen, they would go through a one-way valve into the chamber. And that's how that the water-powered car worked. I've seen that he made a little cylindrical chamber at the piston head, which made hydrogen and oxygen on demand through the process of electrolysis on water. So it's really a hydrogen powered car, and he's getting the hydrogen from water by using electricity. And I still believe that this is entirely, I believe that you can make enough electricity from the internal combustion engine to run the electrical apparatus on the hydrogen separation. So that's what my generator was. I was going to do this summer and I never finished it. So that's on the agenda to be finished. I think this chamber thing it's not my own idea. It's the guy they killed. I think it makes more sense because it's a very small, confined space, and it's right next to the combustion chamber. And yeah, this just makes a lot of sense. We also have Bob Lazar. If you've seen the video, he's got a Corvette that drives 400 miles on scuba tanks of hydrogen. The hydrogen is atomically bonded to a metal inside the scuba tanks, and the metal happens to be lithium-6. And when you put hydrogen in the presence of this lithium-6, it goes to the temperature of 180 degrees. So to release the hydrogen, you have to increase the temperature past 180, and then the hydrogen is released as a gas, and then you can burn it in the car, and that's how he does it. Lithium-6 is not illegal to own. It's illegal to sell it. It's not illegal to make it, and he made his own with a particle accelerator. But that's also another way to power cars with a hydrogen gas, and it's safe because it's not compressed gas. It's atomically bonded, and it's called a metal hydride. And this technique is not it's not top secret. A lot of people know about it. It's known throughout the world that it's possible, but it's like advanced physics. Yeah. Look at that, 54 minutes on just those topics. I guess we can talk about some news in the world. The war in Ukraine. I'm not sure if I heard the numbers right, but somebody said 100,000 Ukrainian officers have died, and that means maybe 800,000 soldiers have died on the Ukraine side. So they might have had up to 1 million deaths. So the more we keep funding this, it's like, are we secretly trying to kill the Ukrainians? Was it a ruse just to flush out all their hot women and turn them into refugees for our nations. Um, my guess is that NATO absolutely wants war with Russia. I think they're just looking at Russia as resources, just like we do with all our other imperial conquests. I saw this thing from, it might have been Ron Paul. Let me see if I can find it again. It looks like it was a speech he gave to Congress. Hmm. Let me see if this is it. Hmm. Well, oh, I know how to maybe find it, plebes. Sorry, just give me a moment here. I don't know if you use the four plebes, but it's a searchable archive of politically incorrect. Oops. No, I can't find it. The general of it sounded like it was Ron Paul. He was just like, all these foreign wars make America weaker. We create hostility in the nations we're invading as an imperial nation, and it doesn't strengthen the American people. And the Republicans, well, both of the political people must be influenced by the gravy train of the military industrial complex, and they're not promoting peace. We're promoting perpetual war through foreign policy, and that foreign policy is robbing Americans of the bright future. And they end up always printing more money to pay for these wars. And they say that it puts America, that if we don't go to war, it puts America at risk. Actually, what puts us at risk is not minding our own business and going to war with innocent people. So wars put us at risk. If we didn't do the war, we wouldn't be at risk. They wouldn't have any reason to come fuck with us. But since we go to war with innocent people, that gives them a reason to want to destroy America. And I was reading something about the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, South America, and China. The BRIC nations are very strong today. India and China combined have over 2 billion people. America's only 350 million. So they could build ships. They could build a bunch of airplanes, and they actually could do a legit invasion through brute force of manpower. They've got the humans that, if so motivated, they could totally invade mainland USA and fuck us up. And with a war of material attrition, which is going on in Ukraine right now, like Um, like I think the reason Russia's using all these old tanks are the longer they sit there, the more worthless they become. So why not go throw them at a machine that weakens the West? So the West has to throw those $75,000 Javelin missiles at them. And Russia probably does the calculation. Well, America's got 4,000 javelins. Well, we need to send in 4,000 shitty tanks. Our tanks are worth 30,000 and the javelins 70. Like they're going to deplete our munitions. And then they can calculate at what point we run out of ammunition. They know at what rate we can remanufacture those weapons. So then, if Russia wanted to, they could the factory that rebuilds those javelins, they could fucking send over some hypersonic missiles and blow them up. So, like literally, by creating these proxy wars like Ukraine and Russia right now, the whole goal of Russia might be to deplete the high tech resources of the West, and then the BRIC nations do a coup de grace and they come in and they just decapitate the American power structure. It can be done. It can be done. They do have hypersonic missiles, and we have no defense. They could hypersonic over 100 megaton nuclear warhead over Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. is fucking gone. They could do one over New York City, just one. New York City, gone. The stock markets, the financial, the global financial network would be crippled. Do a hypersonic nuclear missile to the city of London, fucking, and London, the city itself, gone. So like the BRICS could do a power move against the West and decapitate us. So that's a real deal. And I don't think the West has got the thirst. I don't think the West would do a preemptive strike. We have the ability to do a preemptive strike, but I don't think we have the willingness. Yeah. Let me see if there's more into politically incorrect here. Apparently, we did some. Ukraine attacked a Russian airbase just recently for the second time. Oh, I know what I want to say. I want to talk about the cold weather. So it's funny when winter rolls around and you got the global warming jokes and everybody's freezing to death. So we know winter comes every year, and there's a certain portion of the world that is in snow for a certain period of time. When I was a kid living in Washington State, where it got 20 degrees below zero, we heated the house with firewood. My dad even sold firewood. And so I'm going to propose a unique firewood solution. Now, people get pretty butthurt over cutting down trees and just burning them. You're killing the environment. No more, it's not taking the CO2 out of the air, all that shit. Well, those things called Presto logs where they take the sawdust from a sawmill and they compress it into a brick and you burn them like a wood log. It is wood that's pushed together. And they put some binding agents in there, and it's not like glue. Well, it's a binding agent. It's not a petrochemical. Some of them have like a little bit of wax in there or something. But anyways, there's a way to bind it together without using oil. Here's the idea. Hemp. Grow an acre of hemp produces as much wood pulp as an acre of trees that takes 40 years to grow. And you can grow an acre of hemp in 1 year. So maybe certain regions where hemp would grow well, you grow hemp as a firewood business. Because they get really big. So you grow the hemp, you dry it, you squeeze it for all the oils, and you can do all the other extraction methods to the hemp to get out those cannabinoids, CBD. Then the leftover husks could be pressed into firewood, and I think we should go back to heating homes with firewood. In this case, it would be a compressed log of hemp, a big compressed brick. You use 10,000-pound presses to squeeze it together. You could turn it into pellets. This would be a very green, renewable way to make a firewood type of product. I've never heard of anybody suggesting this, and I think the best reason for it is that you can grow 40 times you can grow what takes 40 years of trees to grow 40 years to grow a forest, you can grow in 1 year of hemp. So that's a 40 times return on investment, because if you buy an acre of land with wood trees on it, each tree is worth so much money. And forget the lumber value, just calculate the value in firewood. Like in North America, a cord of wood is like $300. And so I guess I should come up with how many cords of wood is on an acre of land with trees that were planted 40 years ago, because the tree's going to be this size and you're going to have a volume of cords of wood. And then the retail price of that land is going to be an acre of trees might go for just $4,000 to $5,000 because it's in the middle of the boonies. There might be government regulations that don't allow you to strip mine it, like just cut down all the trees. You got to leave some there. Where on agricultural land, it's all for farming. So by growing the hemp, you're going to make a lot more money. Yeah. I saw a terrible car accident like in Texas. The snow everywhere, and it was like a 50-car pileup with semi trucks. These people just forget how dangerous it is to drive in the snow. America, we're a poorly run nation. We should have roads that have heaters built into the road to melt that ice. So there's no ice on the roads. There's electric heaters. We could build something, geothermal. Like, I think everybody knows this, but I'll just do a drawing. That's the Earth. That's where we are. We drill a hole. It's hot. We pour water in, and out comes steam. And you use that steam on a turbine to make electricity. Geothermal is a super proven technology. It's super old. And Iceland, their electricity comes from geothermal. Another benefit of geothermal is that the vapors are distilled water. So you could do geothermal by the ocean, let salt water go in there, and then it turns to steam, and that steam is actually drinkable water. why aren't we doing this? Like this is just you need to drill a few holes. That's it. Now, if you're pouring in salt water, I would imagine at some point you're going to have a buildup of salt in there, so you would have to clean it out every once in a while. I guess if you had a buildup of salt, you could flood the tube, you could flood it and then let the salt wash out, and then, um, well, you could just re-drill it. Maybe you have to re-drill it every year to get rid of that excess salt, but even or you could build it by a freshwater lake where there wouldn't be a salt buildup, and then you just recirculate the water back into the lake. And, like, absolutely, like, the only moving part are the turbines. So why aren't venture capital building geothermal electrical plants in America? You could just they're the Earth's mantle. Well, I guess if the land is close to sea level, then that's less to drill through. So you wouldn't want to do it in Colorado because you're 6,000 feet above the mantle, above sea level. So you want to do it close to sea level. That way you're closer to the Earth's mantle and do geothermal. This just makes tons of sense. Places like Yellowstone would be good for geothermal. They make tremendous excuses for not doing these projects, and they drag their feet like this fusion reactor with the lasers. They said they might have had a success. They've been working on this for 10 or 15 years. Um, Sometimes I think they make these projects to give people hope, but it's all about stalling the technology. I think they're boondoggles. I think we know the right answer, but we're not bringing it to market because of oil. The oil company's like, oh, you want to do the fusion again? Well, we already know it works. Okay, we'll give you some money, but you got to drag your feet for 15 years. And then at the very end, we're going to need to drag it out another 15 years. And then you're like, that's just my feeling. I'm so tired of like this. We have all these brilliant scientists around the world, but everybody's like, we don't know what to do. Really? Like, we can't go to the moon so quickly. There are a lot of excuses out there. Maybe I'm just jealous that I'm not part of this excuse treadmill getting rich. Let me go back to 4chan and see if there's any news I want to read. Some people might say, why does Wayne even make these videos? He's just talking about a lot of stuff, repeating things. It's my way of relaxing. It helps me organize my thoughts. Is the quick answer. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything that's big in the news here. So I hope everybody had a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas. I hope you received the gifts that you were seeking and you had a joyful experience. Yeah. Well, in summary, I talked about putting mercury on the inside of this Tesla coil, and that might make electricity by itself. And we talked about why the Pyramid of Egypt, the precise measurements could be a type of harmonic coupler, like a radio antenna. So that could be linked to it making electricity. We also talked about trying to bring my technology to market with trying to find some investors that could do it who aren't aligned with America, because I believe America has this technology and is suppressing it. So we talked about a strategy for trying to bring it to market. Somebody asked me how much I need. Well, not counting the legal expense, which could be millions of dollars, just the raw materials. 30,000 for a year would do it for me. Okay, well, that's my summary of this conversation. Have a good Monday. Talk to you later.